Clay Patton on the Rural Radio Network, now with a check of your Midwest sheep and goat market report for the week ending October 15th. First off, though, thank you to Moline Seed and Fence. They're the proud sponsor of the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Moline Seed and Fence is your local dealer for Riviera custom gates, goat and sheep pens, along with Mountain View sheep and goat equipment. You can also check out a wide variety of fencing supplies plus livestock feed when you visit their website, MolineSeedandFence.com. That's MolineSeedandFence.com. Also, big and exciting news this week. The Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report is available on Spotify. Yes, thank you to our tech folks here at the Rural Radio Network. You can now catch the latest episodes every Friday afternoon when I put this report together at on Spotify. Or, of course, listen anytime you want, but we're going to start having our episodes this point going forward available on Spotify, at least on the audio side. Now, don't forget, at ruralradionetwork.com, that's where we're still going to have the written form where you can go and check out all of our commentary as well in more of a written form, so you can go and check it out. You can also check out previous week's reports that we won't have archived on Spotify until we build a few of these up. So again, exciting news though overall, and appreciate your continued listenership here for the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. All right, for the week ending October 15th, we made a little bit of a comeback after last week's big slump. Prime slaughter stock really seeing about those biggest prices. I would call it overall probably a $10 to $20 per hundredweight rebound on the average. Now, there were some instances I think we can talk where they were maybe closer to $30 to $40 per hundredweight higher, especially in a few in particular sales. But again, over a broader one, call it $20 a hundredweight higher. But again, that's for more of that prime number one stock going through. You look at number threes in the slaughter and feeder stock. You look at coal breeding livestock, they're continuing to struggle. Wool ewes, especially those thin, broken mouth, older ewes that are coming through on the kill side, they're unfortunately selling $30 to $45 a hundredweight. Now, there's been very few instances of breeding stock coming through over here the last couple weeks. Overall volume of that breeding stock has been pretty low as well, but the prices really seem to have backed off. That's why I haven't included any breeding stock here in some of our quotes over the past couple weeks. With that in mind, though, the more I think about that, that's also likely probably leading to a little bit of the quality that might be coming to market right now, and that's not as big of an issue as we're seeing versus, just lower quality coming through the ring, justifying lower prices versus an actual slump in the overall market. Now, I will say this week as well, most of the sales we note in here, they've seen a little bit lighter volume of livestock coming versus the last 2 weeks as well. So maybe a little lighter volume helping to really bring in some stronger prices for that prime quality stock. Biggest issues for the market continue to be the same thing, drought and consumer demand. Where do we land there? Well, crop progress data out from USDA this week still shows a very, very poor outlook in the U.S. pasture condition, and it's north to south all the way across. Nebraska pasture rated 78% poor to very poor. Kansas pasture 76% poor to very poor. Northern Montana is at 46% poor to very poor. That's statewide average, not just northern Montana, but a lot of drought across there. Texas pasture rated 56% poor to very poor. So there's not just one, area in particular of the country. It's north to south across the United States, really, that is facing a lot of trouble, drought issues. And even going into the parts of the Corn Belt and stuff, it's dry. The Mississippi River struggling with getting freight and barges down it. It's one of its driest levels since 1988. So drought is a major factor there, especially for guys that are thinking about buying that livestock in. Do they have the feed because they likely don't have the pasture to run them on right now? Now, with that, the drought will eventually break, but in the meantime, it's likely to put pressure, at least on the replacement side of the market. The good news is, once the forage becomes more bountiful here, hopefully next year, the following year, whenever this drought wants to break on the broader picture, that's really probably going to drive demand back up through the roof, because we're probably slaughtering a lot of that quality replacement stock right now just because we don't have anywhere else for it to go. Flip side of that coin, demand, what continues to happen there? Inflation runs rampant in the economy. We got out 2 measures of that this week from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that continues to say, where do consumers start to shift that overall demand? Now, I didn't get it included in the written copy, but one thing I was able to read before I came in and recorded was the fact that retail sales coming out Friday morning, that's where we saw retail sales actually flat below analysts' expectations, but that was because vehicle purchases were down 0.4% in September overall. So it looks like consumers are actually curbing on those bigger expenditures. We all know, if you've looked at used vehicles, how expensive used vehicles are as well. You've got new vehicles. If you can get them ordered in, they're still extremely expensive. So it looks like there's actually more consumer demand curve going there versus items like food and that sort of thing. So that's positive to see that if consumers are going to start tightening their wallet, where are they starting with? They're starting with the big ticket items. They're starting with vehicles and other big ticket items similar to that. Housing, we've seen a little bit of slowdown in the housing part of it as well. So hopefully it keeps demand alive there at our meat counter as well, because that's still a big threat here to the overall continuing strength here, especially given guys, they're putting high dollar feed in them. You need high dollar return with that as well. All right, now let's go through some highlighted quotes on the week. Centennial Livestock, 5 head of 53-pound feeder wool lambs brought $217.50 a hundredweight. That's $115 a head. To show contrast for those older crop heavy lambs, Centennial sold 113 head of 107-pound lambs. They brought $1.08. And that averaged it also to $115 a head. Kelowna, Iowa sold 35 head of wool feeder lambs weighing 53 pounds for $248 a hundredweight. That's about $131 a head. The upper end of the draft sold for $255 a hundredweight or $135 a head. Kelowna also sold 72 head of slaughter hair lambs weighing 57 pounds for $269 a hundredweight or $153 a head. The upper end of those hair lambs though brought $280 a hundredweight. That's $160 a head. Now there's several things here. Heavy weathers were popular this week as well. And I noted here, Kelowna, Iowa sold 7 head of 95-pound goat wethers, $269 a hundredweight. That's $256 a head. 2 of those heads in an individual draft by themselves brought $294 a hundredweight. That's $280 a head. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock sold 37 head of 76-pound goat wethers for $290 a hundredweight, $220 a head. Producers Livestock in San Angelo had 17 head, that was on hair lambs. Here it is, 3 head of 103-pound goat wethers in San Angelo. They brought $333 a hundredweight. That's $339 a head. Producers also sold 5 head of 57-pound lightweight slaughter goats for $301 a hundredweight or $176.75 a head. As well, they sold 17 head of 37-pound feeder hair lambs for $375 a hundredweight or $138.75 a head. Now, USDA retail data. This is going out to Friday, October 14th. Lamb and veal retail activity index was up 41.13%. Overall feature rate still down about 1.2%. Lamb cuts were 56% higher for the week as well. Roast ads were sharply higher. Chops got more ad space as well. This week, lamb features most in circulars. They saw shoulder blade chops, shoulder round bone chops, breast, rack, and boneless leg, plus leg steaks and stew meat mutton. So lamb actually making pretty good circular traction here in a lot of grocery stores across the country. The commodity markets this week continue to be very volatile. USDA released their latest supply and demand estimates on Wednesday. To some analysts' surprise, USDA cut corn and soybean production once again. To offset some of the production loss, USDA did decrease export estimates from the U.S., but raised U.S. domestic demand, especially for feed grains. More fireworks emerged on Thursday as Russia's President Putin, he noted that he wants to renegotiate that Black Sea agreement, letting wheat get out of Ukraine or grain as a whole out of Ukraine through the Black Sea. A lot of analysts are concerned that's about to get shut down. So once again, the bull is gaining momentum in the grains, and they look to be pointing higher. The hay market in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota, and Wyoming show prices continue to creep higher week after week as demand remains high and supplies continue to dwindle. And we're getting further into fall here. We've got frost killing freezes upon us. And so really that's solidifying an end to the hay production here. I know a lot of the alfalfa, the agronomists are saying, it's dry on top of it, but alfalfa needs like 3 weeks to get that carbohydrates moved back into the root. So that's a tough decision for farmers. Do they go ahead, try to get that final cutting off of it, just given how strong demand is, how high demand is for hay, or do they go ahead and let it rest to make sure that it gets in there and doesn't winter kill too hard with that as well? Another one, though, we've got a lot of crop residues, soybeans, corn stalks, they're all going into bales as well. And I was talking with a rancher in south central Nebraska this week. He noted that crop residue is being baled, and it's going to drastically reduce grazable stocks in his area as well. And he's more on the cattle side than he is sheep and goats, but trying to learn a little bit more on that side as well. And he said, I've already, kind of went through and culled the herd pretty intensively, but I've already lost several leases on corn stalks because they're baling them this year. So if that continues to play out, then he's likely going to have to take a deeper look and have to go back and cull even more livestock. The Kansas Hay Report may have said it best this week. Planters are ready. They've got their hay secured. Gamblers are waiting for something to happen, but the market looks only to go higher in the hay side. Lamb market this week lamb slaughter, I should say, this week was estimated at 33,000 head through Saturday. That's another weekend change from the previous week and down 5,000 head from last year. Year-to-date lamb slaughter is at just shy of 1.4 million head. That's down about 9.3% or 141,000 behind last year. Now keep in mind, we've killed 141,000 less lambs this year, but so far live lamb weights at 130 are up unchanged from last week, but up 7 pounds from last year. Dressed lamb weights are at 66 pounds, unchanged from last week, but up 4 pounds from last year as well. So again, killing fewer lambs, we're producing easily as much lamb going to the stores just because we're putting more weight on the carcass. Goat slaughter under federal inspection, 9,585 head for the week. Regional price report on the wool lambs, 20 to 40 pounds, $195 to $245 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pound wool lambs, $135 to $260. 70 pounds and up, $100 to $200 a hundredweight. For the hair lambs, 20 to 40 pounds, $200 to $300 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pounds, $120 to $301 a hundredweight. 70 pounds and up, $115 to $259 a hundredweight. Wool ewes, not enough for an applicable rate on the stockers. Slaughter ewes, $30 to $110 a hundredweight. Hair ewes, replacement quality, $150 to $200 a head on a thin test. Slaughter at $70 to $135 a head. Hair rams, $55 to $230 a hundredweight. For the kid goats, 20 to 40 pounds, $225 to $400 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pounds, $225 to $375. 70 pounds and up, $190 to $275 a hundredweight. Wethers, the big wethers, 70 pounds and up, $125 to $333 a hundredweight. Slaughter does, medium to fleshy, $124 to $255 a head. Replacement does, $125 to $325 a head. Again, I'll call that a pretty limited test, though. Slaughter bucks, $120 to $242 a hundredweight. Breeding bucks coming in there at $200 to $500 a head. And that is the latest here in your Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Again, appreciate your continued support. Have a great day.